Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk. Today, joining me on the show is singer, songwriter, actress, activist, and my dear friend, Miss Trenyce Cobbins. Trenyce, thanks so much for joining me.
I am so happy to be here, Melinda. How are you?
I'm good.
How's the baby?
She's amazing. She's a year, which I can't believe it's already. I know, girl.
Oh my goodness,
That
you're
went by fast.
joking.
No, that went by so fast. Can you?
Wow.
A
Oh,
year.
how sad are you?
I'm I'm sad. I'm not gonna lie, but even like in like at like the 6 month mark, there were already things I missed, and then she kept getting older and older and older, and I was like, oh my god, you don't do this anymore. You don't do this anymore. Like I
Wow.
know, and she's
It's
walking, and it's
beautiful
like,
though.
oh yeah,
The journey's so
it
beautiful.
really,
Wow.
really is, and I'm actually very grateful that John and I have been home with her this whole time because if it were our normal schedules, I don't know how much of her growth we would have actually been here for and just been like hands on with. And I'm
Mm,
so grateful I have my mom, but
mm.
I'm so glad that we didn't miss these moments because they've been really, really
Yeah.
special. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how have you been holding up? We're about to come out of this pandemic finally. Light at the end of
Finally.
the tunnel.
You know what? It has been, I'm not going to lie, like the last few months have been difficult for
Mm,
me. And I hate saying things like that because for me, it makes me feel like I'm being ungrateful. Um, but it has been a journey. And I'm just
mhm.
like, what is going on? Lost some
Mm,
friendships, just trying to adjust to getting back and reacclimating myself to working consistently.
yeah.
Sometimes it's like I have five things on my plate and then I have nothing. And then, so it has been the first half of it was awesome. I
Yeah.
know that's weird to say. Personally, it was awesome,
Mm,
meaning I was able to slow down. I was able to, get some things in order. I was able to make some decisions.
right.
And then the second half was like a revelation.
Mm,
It was a huge revelation, a revelation about a lot of things. And so I had to take a couple of steps back away from social media. It's just so much going on. And then you have the worldly things that are happening. And I was like, I cannot handle all of this. I can't handle the funny memes. I can't handle the serious memes. I can't handle the feminine, we are one memes. I could not, I stopped being able to digest any of it,
yeah. Yeah. And I talk
you
about
know?
mental health a lot on this show with my guests. And,
Mhm.
how do you feel like the past year has affected your mental health?
Oh, it definitely has in a lot of ways. I feel that I embraced I embraced it now. I embraced it more in the beginning because it allowed me to realize how overworked I was.
Mm,
Just completely saturated with schedules and bookings and just trying to be the best, the best, the best, the best, got to be the best. And I said, no, you don't have to do all of that. This second half is like, are you okay?
mm,
Because now that things are starting to mellow out, it's are you okay with how this relationship is going?
right.
Are you okay with the fact that you feel like you're giving more over here than this situation is allowing you to be? So it was that sort of thing. It was like, wait a minute, I'm not okay. There were family things where I'm like, I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with that. I need to go for a walk. Maybe it's me. There's that. It was like it was like I had been, it's like I had been in the bed the whole year and now I'm awakened and the sun is out. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's a whole life that I need to be living, but I didn't feel like I was representing my best self.
Mm,
And in the
mm,
last couple of months, I'm like, I need to get off of social media. I need to get back to like, who am I now? That's what it is. We've all changed in this pandemic in some way or another.
yes.
And I
Yes.
don't think I fully adjusted to who I am now yet.
I totally get that. And I hope at least that people viewed this pandemic and this kind of like we all hit the pause button for a little bit as a chance for rebirth because I definitely
Mm,
have changed. I definitely, my goals have shifted. What I want
yeah.
out of life has shifted. Clearly, relationships have shifted because I think we were able to see very, very clearly who is in our corner and who is not throughout this entire
Yes.
year. And I have a lot of
Yeah.
trust that was broken. And I realized a lot
Yeah.
about people, in terms of selfishness, in terms of empathy, in terms of willingness to listen and understand. I mean, everything from just people that you see that weren't complying with wearing a
I
mask or being safe
know.
to people that just still have not even said Black Lives Matter. Like there's so much that came to a head during this pandemic, but I'm actually
So
very
much.
grateful for it because I think that we would have gone on how we were living in
Masked
oblivion.
in another.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what it was for me as well. It was like, dang, I don't want to unfollow you, but I have to. And, and you're a nice person, but nice is not going to stop another Black person killed, or to have those uncomfortable conversations with people and allow them to say to me, oh, I thought that I was doing something by blah, 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 but I realized through talking to you that I'm not doing enough, or that, I am prejudiced, things like that. And the comparison button is constantly hit when it comes to Black Americans. I feel
Yeah.
like we have to take the brunt of all of when they say Black and brown lives. I feel like a lot of the times they throw in the brown lives just to kind of massage the situation so that, and it's weird, but sometimes I feel like everyone wants to be included in the issue when it's not their issue
It's
at
like to
that
make it
moment.
palatable for some reason. Like if it's solely
Yes,
Black people, people just can't
they
digest it for
can't
some reason.
digest it. But
Yeah,
if
and
you
it's
say
like with
Black and brown,
content. Yeah, it's even with content. Like if you have all Black cast, you gotta have one white person so that it's like consumable for people, and it's
yes.
really interesting. But I'm
And
with you.
each week it's been something else. And I, that's what I mean when I say I had to start looking at myself and going, is it me? Because I feel like so much is going on that I'm starting to um not be as positive as I used to be. And it's weird for me.
Hmm.
And I'm like, wait, this entire time, have I been truly positive, or was I simply skirting over issues because I didn't want to rock the boat, or because
Yeah.
I was just trying to see the best in people. And sometimes there's no middle ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of my relationships suffered, and I had to let them die. And I had to literally um, be okay with it, which is another thing. I'm a fixer. Let's fix this. Let's work on this.
Yeah.
But when you finally realize, oh, I'm giving more in this scenario, like, I don't know about anyone else, but I feel like as a Black person, anytime someone else hurts, we hurt. It's always we. What are we going to do? And I don't always see that from everyone else. I don't always see that. And it's like, why is it when it's us, you guys can't seem to understand? Um, you want an explanation. You want to know the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay, so okay, what did they do? How many times did they, how do we know that this? But when it's everyone else, we just jump right in and we save everyone. I legitimately had to say, no, like, no more. If this means that you will not hear from me, if it means putting you on mute, if it means, I might still follow you, but I can't take all of your posts, or if it
Yeah.
means you doing the same for me, or if it means, and I just stopped. I just had to stop. I had to just yell, cut.
Yeah. And I get that. I think this is what I think is the beautiful thing about our community, though, is that we do come from a place of empathy and understanding. Now,
Yeah.
granted, we all have our moments and stuff, but I think as a whole, because of the adversity that we as a community have faced from since the beginning of time, and that has been passed down, like there's been proof that it's passed down through your DNA, like that
Yeah.
trauma, we just
Yeah.
know how to show up for other people without
Yes.
question. But it is
Yeah.
kind of getting debilitating because it is hard to continuously show up for people that don't show up for you. I mean, even now, we have all of these hate crimes happening against Asian Americans, and I'm going to show
Mm,
up for them. I'm gonna show up for
Absolutely.
them 100% because that's my heart, that's who I am. But I'm not going to fault people that are in our community that are a little hesitant towards it because of the anti-black racism that they've experienced within the Asian community, because that's something that isn't even addressed. But I did challenge somebody today on a post because I'm trying to get everybody to realize that the reason marginalized groups sometimes are against each other is a direct result of white supremacy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's something that it's been hanging over our culture for quite some time, and it's never been explained.
Yeah.
This is the first time we're actually reaching out to one another and trying to, it's not the first time we're trying to be heard. It's the first time
Right.
people are listening.
Yes, amen to that.
So it's a matter of, yes, you're listening to me now, but do you hear me?
Mhm.
Because you
Mhm.
haven't heard me in all this time. It should not be a trend for you to hear me. You
Yeah.
should really want to say, hey, hold on. And even hold yourself accountable and say, you know what, I really have not been there for my Black brothers and sisters, or I was there halfway, or, and then when it comes down to, the Asian Americans, I fully support, because, anytime we are, it's an unfortunate thing, because when it's a blanket statement, I feel like people nitpick the parts of
Mhm.
love and accountability that they want that resonates with them. It's like, no, you can't do that. Wrong
Right.
is wrong, right?
Right.
But when I lived in China, on the news, there was a family that was discussing how if you bring a Black person home, you have plagued our dynasty. You have plagued
Mm.
this family. You are, and it's really funny to me that in spite of that, in spite of us that I know have gone overseas to do work in Asian communities, we are not treated the best. I've said this for years and years and years and years. When I went to Macau, it was the worst experience I ever had in my entire life.
Mm.
Um, and that, but at the same time, that, like you said, that is the beauty of us being able to digest that, move that to the side, to still see a human being. And that is all we ask for in return, is
Amen.
that when we are hurting, I'm not asking you to pick up a knife and cut yourself. What I'm asking you to do is empathize the way that you do with a puppy, the way that you do with a child, the way that you do when it is your people, or any other um, group. It's like, I don't know what is the difference. And I said this to a friend through DM yesterday. He's like, oh my God, I wish I could post what you just said. Just the idea of having to hesitate as a Black person to say, but,
Yes. Mm.
but, when it just, and that's why I had to walk away from social media, because all of this is a lot. So I will
Yeah.
post and I get off.
Yep.
I
Yep.
gotta post and get off, because it's been a lot. And then, also with what we watch, with who we're spending our time with. Well, a lot of the time we're not socializing because of, COVID and all of that. And so there is a mental breakdown that happens, that you're just like, wait a minute, is this really me right now? And it's
Mm.
uncomfortable. And that's where I've been sitting. The
Yeah.
last couple of months have been totally, totally uncomfortable.
I think, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. There is, for some reason, a I'm just gonna it's a lack of empathy when it comes to the Black community, and I don't know why. I mean,
I
again, we
either.
talked about the roots of white supremacy, and
Yeah.
we can get into a whole bunch of stuff in regards to that.
Yeah.
But I don't know why it's so difficult for people to just take a step back and it's like, why do I view Black people like this? Well, where did I hear this? Like, why am I afraid? Like, if you put the pieces together, you'll realize what the root of the issue is,
Yeah.
I've said this. I just feel like once all of the marginalized groups come together and all of the white allies come together and realize, I made this comparison. You've seen the movie A Bug's Life, right?
Yes.
Remember when all the ants realized, wait a minute, and they all went up against the grasshoppers. Like, when are we finally gonna do that? You know what I
I
mean? You
know.
know what I mean? White
It's
supremacy is just
animated.
sitting back watching this happen. And
Yes.
no, we're not putting it together like, wait, I only
Yeah.
think this way about this group because this group told me to think. You
Yes.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And then there on top of that are the issues that we have within our community.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, honestly, between Clubhouse, the,
Oh, girl.
the internet, the memes, personal stuff, it's just like I literally had to just be like, I can't take this anymore. And I started meditating every morning. I mean, I'm so much so that it took me. I mean, I'm just gonna say, like, I literally was just like, I need to go back to my roots, like my
Mhm.
roots, my roots. I started listening to this chant, this meditative. Let me put my computer down before I destroy my whole life. Because I was like, if I need to Google anything, just for
Yeah.
whatever, it'll be there. But I had to go back and to my ancestors, like that far. Like literally, there was this beautiful chant that I found online, and I've sent them to a few of my friends too, and they were like, "Girl, that is powerful." I
Mm.
cried, like I literally was just like, "Ah." And I feel like when I cry, I'm crying for everything because
Yeah.
I don't allow myself to do that a lot. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're just getting down on yourself. No, 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 no. It's not really what you think. No, 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 no. This person really loves you. No, 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 no. And I keep justifying away
Right.
the issues that I'm having. And so I said, no, I think I need to pause. I think I need to really get real with how the world has been shifted. This world, my world, the world, everything has shifted, including me.
Mhm.
And it's a slow crawl back to who I am because I'm asking, now what do you want? Now that the world is laid out there for you and blinders are off and those realizations are made plain, who are you and now what do you want?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
as a single person, that is difficult for me to try to figure out because the foundation is me. So how are you handling that married and being a new mom and all of that? Like, what has your mental been like?
That's a great question. I mean, honestly, if I didn't have Sienna over the last year, I think that my mental health would be in a much worse place, to be honest.
Mhm.
I do think that I'm stronger than a lot of people. I know that there are some of the people in our community that like they can't even handle like the videos or the pictures or even the headlines when it comes to
Mm,
especially like things about our community. I'm not at that place yet, but I completely understand why people are. I completely understand the trauma that it creates when you're constantly seeing images of black bodies being hurt, or you're constantly seeing, you know, our black brothers and sisters being vilified in a certain way. I'm not at the point where I can't handle seeing those images because I still use it as a means of education for other people. But I like I said,
yes.
I get it. Obviously I'm in in a racial relationship and my husband is I wouldn't have married him if he weren't on the up and up, obviously.
Right. Right.
But
Right. Right.
um
No. Right.
at the end of the day, one of the main things that I've brought to him and he completely understands, I'm like, she will never deny you as her white father, but you are raising a black daughter. And that
Yeah.
is what the situation is.
Whether he wants to or
Whether he
not.
wants to or not. And he
Yeah, for sure.
completely understands that and knows that our goal as she, gets older is that no matter what she sees on social media or media, as much as I'll try to shield her from it as I can, you know,
Mhm.
you are a black woman at the end of the day. And that's the
Yeah.
way the world is going to see you. And that's also, and we had texted about this, why I was so aware of the Meghan Markle situation,
Mm.
her
Mhm.
being a biracial woman, but I feel like yeah, I'm just gonna be honest because it's not really gonna affect anything me saying this, but I do think that she had gone through a lot of her life being semi-white passing and
Absolutely. Yeah.
not really I don't even say that she didn't acknowledge because she never like denied her mother, her mother
Right.
and her are very close, but I don't think
Right.
she leaned into her blackness at all. And that's something that I absolutely want to avoid and will never allow for Sienna to do. One, because I'm probably her biggest influence. I spend the most time with her, just because my husband being a lawyer and him working, she's with me most of the time. But
Yeah.
that was a very sensitive situation for me because I don't want her to fall into that at all. And
Yeah.
I think that we can talk about colorism and all of that, and that
Yeah.
also is
It's
a
so real
it's
though.
so real, and it's also
Mhm.
is a the aftermath of white supremacy and something going back to slave days. They separated black people based on their skin tone. So when
Yeah.
people are getting upset about you, I'm like, take a pause and think about who you're supposed to be mad at right now because there's a
Yes.
reason why
Yes.
this is a
Yeah.
situation. So
Mhm.
I think, with her, it was really, really interesting because she got reminded she is black.
That's what we talked about.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I, you were like, do you want to hop on it? I was like, I don't know, because I may not have the opinion that you want. You know what I mean?
Right,
And
right, right.
and because of what I do and who I because we're in a world that is mainly white, and then
Hmm.
they may sprinkle us in here and there,
Hmm.
it's like, again, you have to say, oh my god, if I say this, it's the unpopular thing,
Yeah.
or whatever, and you have to worry about work, and you have to worry about when other people say and do, and what, and nothing ever happens. I mean, look at the talk. Why is everyone else taking a hiatus because of your belligerence? It just does not make any sense to me. And not to say that, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, Cheryl should have. Cheryl couldn't have. There's no way she could have spoken to that woman that way.
You just bringing that up, like, made me tense
Oh
because
my
I don't
gosh,
think I've ever been so triggered. And
I was so triggered.
people use that phrase a lot, but, like, that
No, that was
specific
it.
instance triggered me so much because I have been in that position
Definitely,
more
definitely,
times than I care to
definitely.
count. And people have to also understand about Cheryl. I'm pretty sure that Sharon is a producer on the show. So in that
Mm,
moment, Cheryl was probably like, I need to keep my job.
of course, you could see
I
it.
cannot
You
offend
could
this
see her
white woman.
doing her thoughts.
100%. She's like,
Yeah,
how can I get my feelings across without offending this woman who is so blatantly offending me in this moment and make sure that my job stays?
that's right. That's
Nobody else
all I
has to think
saw.
about that.
That's all I saw.
100%. We all black women saw that. We
That's
saw
all we
every
saw.
single thing that was going on in
Yep.
her head.
Yep. And we've all done it. And it's not a matter of, because people outside of the industry, they're like, well, all she had to do was, no, 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 no. This is not an all she has to do was. The level of steps that it takes to compose yourself as a black woman or a black man, they don't even understand the level of steps. I mean, first of all, when she said, and don't you dare cry, I was
Ooh,
like, ah, I mean, if I had on pearls, like I literally, I was like,
they would
you
have
are,
been clutched.
they would have been. I'm like, you are joking right now. I mean, you are the epitome of being a racist while then saying, I am not a racist.
And
And
to
while
demand her to
defending,
educate you. That I was like, first of all, you're telling this
oh my
woman not to
goodness,
cry. And then you said, educate me.
educate me. It just, the caucasity of it all.
There's no other
I
way
just,
to
there's
describe
no
it.
other way to put it. I was so blown away. And it's just like, that is the disconnect.
Yeah.
Sharon is the disconnect. She's the epitome of what that means.
Yeah.
We need to start throwing her name in the hat with Karen. There's a Karen and there's a Sharon. Because those two levels of white supremacy to me
Ooh.
are the
Yeah.
ones that get people killed. Though that's the level. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's
I
what
do.
gets
I
us
do.
fired. That's the level that makes us look like we are crazy. I mean, I've sat in a room trying to explain an issue. I think I told you about the issue with the young lady and the
Mm.
jacket, how they
Yeah.
were,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm sitting here, the only other black person in the room,
Mm.
woman, willing to say, I'm sorry, but that was wrong.
Right.
Well, how was it wrong? She was just joking. It was just a joke. No, 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 no. No, no, nothing that belongs to me should be in your hands at any time. Because flip this around. If this video was put on mute and you saw me take something out of your bag or out of her bag and run around the room over to the trash, I would be immediately fired. There would be no
Mhm.
discussion.
Mhm.
There would be no, oh my God, it was just a joke. No, 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 no. And that's how I felt watching Sharon. I was just like, this grown woman with children
Who
that
claims to
she's
be an
also,
ally. Hello.
and I'm sorry, but if Cheryl doesn't rethink that whole friendship, and that's not the first time she's done that. So I'm just, it was just like you've given her so many chances on this show. I remember when Holly Robinson Pete talked about it, and I definitely remember when Leah Remini talked about it. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
you guys have seen this
yeah. It's not.
over
It's
and
not new.
over. It's not new.
Yeah.
It's not new. But if Cheryl had have raised her hand at all
Hmm.
to be like, I'm out of here. If she had just stood up, it would have been, oh, she's being aggressive because
She
that's
could have
what they
attacked. Yeah,
call us.
absolutely.
She she cussed before the break. Like she cussed going
Oh,
into a commercial.
I'm sure she did.
No, 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 no. I'm saying Sharon.
Oh,
You
that's who I'm
heard
talking about.
all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that.
I didn't hear the in between because all I heard was what was on air. And I actually see those are the type of things that I can't watch because they're so unbelievably real for me. Just having been around in white
Yes.
spaces for so long and so many of them, I can't see that conversation because it just takes me back to times when I felt silenced, I felt
Yes.
frozen, I felt
Yes.
invisible, I felt like, okay, what am I supposed to do to make this person feel better even though I'm the one that's hurting right now? Like, so I didn't see all of the other stuff that happened in between and
I
I
mean,
didn't
the
want to.
condescending verbiage, it was, I felt like I was watching Roots.
Mm, mm,
The way that Cheryl had to grab that chair and just, and then I saw her, you could see her looking over at Elaine because that's all you can really do. The
mhm.
whole girl, do you see this? I mean, we all know what was going on in her mind, and
Of course, of
it was
course.
hurtful.
Yeah.
It was hurtful.
And you know what? I think this is so interesting. I've actually never said this out loud, so this might be a good little tweet. But the funny thing that I find about white women is that they're very quick to call out double standards when it comes to men, but they somehow cannot see those
Mm,
same double standards when it comes to black women versus white women.
yep. Yeah.
Like they don't see it. It's
I did not
there's just a
see it.
complete blind spot with that stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I
crazy. It's wild that
I mean,
there's just such a huge disconnect there.
I've thought of four different situations with you just saying
Mhm.
that I've been through as well, where it's just like, oh my God, I could. And the last the last job I had, I didn't care anymore. I was like, I don't know if this is fully kicking in or if it's just that I am at my wits end with all of you or what, but it's, I hope that those people from my last job have
Mhm.
seen what's happened this last year and corrected their behavior, because we'll never be friends. Like I don't want
Mm.
to be friends with those people, but I hope that they've looked at the scenarios that have come up and really taken a cold hard look at themselves, because to me, if you're not able to right your own wrong, then what we have to do it all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Self check, self correct, self. I mean, I feel like I'm constantly, not posting certain things to keep peace.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
don't want to be the raging black female online today. Or Trenyce, did you see that? And then we end up having table talk somewhere, kitchen table talk somewhere else for someone to get the full version of how I feel. But online, I have to be like, do, 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 do,
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
even that becomes overwhelming, or having to explain, to someone that I'm sorry, but black people didn't invent racism.
So like why are you always asking us how to end it? Y'all need to figure it out.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I feel like black people have been racist towards me. That doesn't exist. Now someone may have been prejudiced
They could be
towards you.
mean, they could be rude, but they're not racist. Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
racist.
Racism
No.
involves power. Black people
Yeah.
have no control over anybody's lives. Like,
We're constantly in defense of ourselves. We're constantly defending the reason we have to do certain things or the reasons we feel a certain way.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
recently someone said, "Oh, I just don't understand," in my DMs, "Oh, I just don't understand. You guys are allotted the same privileges as everyone else. Why, this whole I can't find a job, I can't buy a home, or, within yourselves, you can't keep a relationship, or the," and I literally was just like, give me 5,000 seconds and 4,000 feet, because there's so much to unpack
Yeah.
there.
The perception is so it's so
Deep.
yeah, it's crazy to me what people believe and how I mean, it's willful ignorance at this point because the statistics are out there, the information's out there. Google is free. I always say that. I need to get a shirt that says that. Like it's not difficult to find this information so that you know why black people are have been systemically held back. There really is no equality. I don't know where I read
There
this.
is no.
I think it said that like in order for the wealth gap to really close and for it to be equal, it was something that like white people would have to not to earn what they're earning now for like the next 80 years. Like and only black people would have to earn income. It was something crazy like that. I want to find the actual statistic and post it, but it was something crazy
Yeah.
where white people had to earn no
See,
money
that's why I had my
whatsoever
look.
for 80 years. Yeah,
That's
right?
why I have.
Right, but, like, that's insane to me, and I'm sure it was something like that, but it was something where it was, like, a long freaking time where white people
Course.
would have to make no money for black people to even get equal to where they are or even come close.
I was even explaining to a friend, because she's a brown friend,
Mhm.
and I said to her, I said, it's very easy for me to sympathize with whatever you're going through, but at the same time, when you say things like, well, black people should never be prejudiced because they know what it's like. And I said, no, I think you need to flip that around to look at it from where we sit.
Mhm.
If you're a business owner as a brown person, you're still not a business owner as a black person.
Right.
You can walk into a situation and they can say, hmm, here's $100,000, right? And I can walk into that same bank and ask for that same amount, and they'll go, we're going to give you this $100,000, but that's going to be 30% interest.
Right. Right.
So, and there's a bunch of collateral that, there's so many things. Like, can we put your home up? Because we're not really sure. There's so much extra red
I
tape
mean, it's everywhere. There's
that
so
people
much red
forget
tape.
about. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh my God, at the end of the day, you're still not black. I know y'all love our music and I know y'all love our groove, but I know that's a t-shirt too, but you honestly don't love our blues. You
Right.
don't. You don't
Yep.
you do not understand it. You never will. You don't try. You assume
Yes. Yes,
a
yes,
lot
yes,
of
yes, yes.
things.
Yep. Yep.
Case in point, that I actually have the same leverage as you. You really think that?
Yeah.
The conversation can end. Like there's nothing else.
Right. Right.
I don't know what else to say to you after that, because if you think that, then there's a whole bunch of other things behind that go along with that you're also thinking that you're just not saying to me.
So I want to kind of rally on that a little bit because for you obviously being a singer songwriter and actress and we all know that you came into prominence when you were on season 2 of American Idol. So how did that play a factor on that show? I'm gonna assume you're allowed to talk about your experience now because it's been so many years, but
Oh
I can
yeah.
only imagine that there's this perception that you got to a certain place on the show, you got to a certain level, so everything's equal, blah, 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 when it comes to
Oh,
like being
yeah.
a performer and being in the entertainment industry.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I will say this: on both sides, it's not equal. Even my black brothers and sisters, like I have to be completely honest and say, in this pandemic, I have worked more
Mm,
with other, with white, with Indian, with Italian, with Jewish, with I have never in my life had more auditions for us and it be, but what have you been doing for the last? What do you mean? My resume is there. No one else is asking me the questions that you're asking me. Why haven't you been in LA in all this time? Well, because I was overseas. But there is a disconnect there too. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, I love us, but uh, there's also that
Yeah.
thing of
Interesting.
constantly having to prove, even to each other, that we're worthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you've known me 10, 15, 20 years. Like when I first moved out here, I knew this person. Yes, but I mean, I haven't really, you haven't you haven't been working with said director. Like I haven't seen you on this show yet, or I had a different path. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
Are you
Right.
going to give me a shot? I mean, and then on the flip side of that, you walk in and you're and you're like, I'm the only black person on the entire
Mm.
set.
Mm.
Well, okay, so I legitimately had to help this young lady do my hair
Ooh.
on a set, and
Wow.
one of the white girls came over and she said, "Wow, I've never seen that in person."
Hmm.
But now I get it because she was really struggling. I said, "Yeah." She legitimately took the straightener and was just like, I don't want to burn you. I don't want to." I said, "Girl, if you don't put some strength behind that hand, like what is going on right now? Please." I said, "You know what?" I said, "Let me just do it because I know the director's going to call us soon." Even me having to place it in that way, and she's shaking in her boots, going, "Please don't let this black girl go off on me." I could read her mind the same way I'm also in my mind trying to structure the right way to tell her, "You have no business in my head." All of that stuff. And that happened on Idol too. I mean, bringing it back to that, it was just like, wow. So you're just going to have me going out here looking like a ghost? I'm a brown woman and you're adding white powder to my face.
Mm.
I'm sorry, but Kimberly Locke is mixed race. So yes, you can add those straight extensions into her hair. Whereas I'm going to need a couple of ones that have a little king to it. Just all of that. We didn't even
Yeah.
start doing textured clip-ins until recently.
Mm.
So that whole thing of just thinking that what's good for one is good for the other. I don't think people really fully understand that we've been left out of a lot of things, including tights, fishnets on stage,
Nude
dancing
bras, nude
shoes,
underwear, dancing shoes, all that
nude,
stuff.
all of that stuff. And
Every
they
time I
don't.
would be asked to bring something nude, I'd say, "Who's nude?" And then they were so confused when I asked that. And then they realized, "Oh, shoot, you're right."
Yes.
Like, white
Even
people
the
nude, you
dancing
mean?
shoes. I mean, everything about that. Like, they just now started. I would have to dye my tights myself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just all of that stuff. And so that, oh my God, I didn't think about it. Oh my God, I didn't think about it. But why not? You're hiring brown people
Right.
every day, Broadway. And you have us all out there. I mean, the Rockettes, even that, you're just, so that you don't have to hire a darker skinned person and have them in these ridiculous looking tights, you go mixed race.
Yeah.
That sort
Yeah.
of thing. That sort of thing. So, it's
And that goes back to that colorism thing that I was talking about, because it's easier if you can
it
find
sits
black
right
people
there.
yeah, if you find the mixed race people that fall into those European standards of beauty or European standards of laziness is what I like to say, because they don't want to try to go outside of their box, which it shouldn't even be. You see, I can go off on a tangent about this for an hour, but that's exactly what it is. It's like,
Yeah.
what's comfortable for me, what's
Mhm.
comfortable for the general public, quote unquote, and it's
Mhm.
going in that direction, which is ridiculous because that's not the way the world looks. It's not in any way, shape, or form.
What has been the biggest challenge for you during the whole pandemic?
Honestly, just not seeing people. That's honestly,
Mhm.
I've realized how much I do like staying home. I've realized that
Mhm, mhm.
I'm happy being a homebody and I get a lot done. And I think that
Same.
this is the other thing. I feel like I was distracted by things that I don't need in my life anymore. And I think that that's been the biggest lessons. Like, I don't need this relationship. I don't need to do this type of gig. I don't need to be in this environment. Like, there are certain things that I'm like, okay, God, I see you. Like, thank you. You're making
Yes.
it aware that when we go back
Yeah.
into real world,
Yeah.
these I can keep these 5 things and I'm good. I'm happy. I have
Yes.
my career. This is what makes me money. I have my family. These are the friends that I trust and these are the friends I can count on and these are the friends that were kind of those surface relationships that I kind of suspected,
Mm.
but I now it's been,
Mhm.
confirmed. So I think it's been a year of revelation and I am
Mhm.
very actually very grateful for it. It sucked. It's
Yeah.
not being able to see people. I didn't get to see my sister, but thank God she's vaccinated now. She's finally gonna come be with Sienna. So that was
Yes.
the hard thing, not seeing family,
Of course, especially as the baby is growing.
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
getting older, and those little precious moments of her being a teeny tiny little
Yeah,
something are
yeah, yeah.
gone. And now people have to be introduced to where she is
Yeah,
versus where she was, and
yeah.
all of that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
But for me, the dating world has been.
I can only imagine because I think the dating world for a lot of people, even before the pandemic, was a hot mess. And
I didn't even
it's so
intend
funny,
on
like
laughing.
I mean, John and I have been together for this is our 10-year wedding anniversary this year. So like we've
Oh my
literally been together
gosh.
before like any of the dating apps or any of that stuff. We met at Universal Studios. It was like total
Wow.
like love thing, right? So I've never understood when I hear these horror stories of dating. Like I feel bad, but I've been so blessed to have never had to go through that. So I could only imagine dating in a
Congratulations.
dating in
Listen,
a
I tell
pandemic.
all of my friends, I'm like, if you are married or if you were in a relationship before the pandemic, work it out.
Like, don't mess
Work.
that up.
Do not, do not introduce yourself to these muddy, seedy waters. Do not step your pinky toe into this pond.
And it just sounds like it's getting worse. I'm just like, I don't
It is.
understand because these people are around. So what is it? Like, is there just more accessible to them now? Like you're more because there's so many dating apps. I just don't get what it is because I feel like I'm hearing more horror stories
It's
than
so funny.
anything else.
It's so funny because you can include Instagram into dating apps these
Oh my
days,
gosh.
because that's where a lot of people, they get in your DMs
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
just like, hey, hey, hey. I get completely. I've never been more of an introvert than I am right now.
yeah.
I was when I was younger, and then I popped out, and I was like, yeah, world, this is me. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm slowly going back into the hole, and I'm just like, I have to tell people now, like, I am intentionally dating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Move out of my way if that is not you. Me and God have talked about this,
Ah,
and you're a distraction.
that's hilarious.
And
But I
don't
love that you
worry.
have that boundary.
Yeah, and don't worry. I allowed it, so it's not your fault. But from here on out, this is what this is. And I think that is also something that I learned in the pandemic is
Yeah.
to be more intentional about what I really truly want, not
Mm,
the compromised version so that just in case this doesn't. No, 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 no.
yeah.
Get out of my DMs if you're not ready for marriage.
Right, right. That's good. I
Period.
love that you have that boundary, you have that standard because so many people don't, and
I
I
didn't.
I
So
respect that.
yeah,
That's
I didn't
incredible.
for so long because I was
Mhm.
afraid to even do it. I was like, nah, I still have so much living to do. And and I would listen to guys be like, but you're never here. And, well, what's
Mm,
wrong with you? Because you're not married yet. And I'm just like, well, I spent a lot of my time traveling, and the relationships that I was in, they just didn't work out, but they were long-term relationships.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I've been in relationships more than I've been out of them, and to be single and go through this is like, whew, this is a lot, but it's good. I feel like it's healthy
Good. That's
because
great.
now I know for a fact I don't want to be nobody's girlfriend like for the rest of my life. Nope. No, 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 no,
You're like,
no.
I'm trying to be somebody's wife, and if that
I'm
is not you,
someone's wife.
right, you are.
Yes,
Absolutely. I love
yes,
that. Well, before
yes.
we wrap up, what are you looking forward to most as we're exiting this pandemic and finally getting back to some sense of normalcy? What are you looking forward
Yes.
to?
Trips. I'm looking forward to exploring more because I'm such a nature person. I
Mm,
like to get out. I love traveling. Seeing my friends and going places and having good, full, genuine, long hugs.
yeah.
Um, and j- and just honestly, I feel like for myself, I need like I need to, I know that we're going to be out, but I need to go someplace where I can unplug, like a retreat or something like that to fully dive more into me.
Yeah.
Um, and embrace this new me, because that's important. I think, I'm saying I'm a wife and all of those things, but I also have to acknowledge that that takes changing and shifting and all of that for myself.
Yeah.
And whoever this new person is, meaning myself, whoever this new girl is, she needs to show up 100%. And right now I'm like, who, what? You know? So I feel like I need a getaway. I need a little time alone.
A little
I know I've
solo
been alone all
retreat.
this time,
Yeah.
but a retreat, with
Yeah.
other people, but just me. I don't have to constantly, I do want to see my friends, but I also need like a little reset,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
restoration time.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Well, let everybody know where they can follow you and keep up with the work that you're doing.
Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Trenyce1, Trenyce, the number one. You can follow me on Trenyce Music on Instagram, just at Trenyce on Twitter. And I also have my alltrenyce.com website where I teach acting and singing lessons on there. So I'm always available for that as well. And so,
Awesome. Well, I
yeah.
loved being able to sit down and chat with you for a little bit. It's
You
always a pleasure.
too.
And I can't wait to
Yeah.
give you one of those long hugs.
I
Once we get
know, same. And pick up that baby. I was like, she is so yummy.
Oh my God, I know I eat her cheeks every day. Like literally, I eat her
She's
cheeks every day.
yummy.
She's so sweet.
Oh
Can't wait
my
for you to meet
gosh.
her. Can't wait.
Yes, indeed. I can tell now. I was like, oh, I can see all the little sass in her
Oh,
eye.
girl. Mm. It started early too. Let me tell you. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe to We Need to Talk and follow Trenyce. And we'll talk to you again next week. Bye.